Okay, I'm going to show how I make my homemade tuna casserole. Here's the ingredients, and I'm going to try and figure out how to like pause this in between because I'm not sure how to do it. So here we go. So package of egg noodles, the 1 pound bag. You need these to put on top. 2 cans of tuna. I always do the one in water. You want a 9 by 13 that's deep. Usually works better for me. Sweet peas. The frozen kind is like nice and crisp in this compared to the canned ones. I don't know how much I use. Here's a think ahead. I don't measure a whole lot. So chicken broth. I like the carton one for this recipe. I don't like mix mine up with the powder. Heavy whipping cream. Mushrooms. I'm making this recipe because I need to use up my mushrooms and I need to use up my remainder of this brick of cream cheese. I did check, it is still fine. So half a brick of cream cheese, butter, garlic. I don't know why it's sticky on the bottom. And then I don't use mozzarella cheese in this. I use Parmesan shredded cheese, but I don't think I have any. So I'm going to try to substitute and we're just going to go with it. So Parmesan shredded cheese. Usually the small package, not this 1 pound, but you know how there's like a smaller package size? Let me see if I can find an example. Eight ounce. So an 8 ounce, not a 16. Yeah. So, and you will use the whole thing. And then I have a pot of water boiling. Well, it's not boiling yet, but I'm making it boil. And then this thingy-mabobber over here ready to go. Okay, I'm back. So I put a big old glob of butter in there, letting that melt. And then I did rinse this off. It was very sticky. Put a, however much you think you want, maybe not that much, of garlic in there. Just dump it on in. And then however many mushrooms you feel like putting in. I need to use this up, so I'm going to put the whole rest of this in there. And it'll be fine. If anybody remembers last year or a year and a half ago when I had a mushroom obsession and I cured it. I've also used, instead of butter, I've used leftover bacon grease. It's so good. Just put it in a little container and it'll solidify, and then use it in place of your oil or butter when you're doing stovetop. Don't like bake with it, that'd be weird. But it's so good. So we'll let that cook, stir it up. You can put a little salt and pepper if you feel so inclined. And then I'll be back for the next step. Okay, I also forgot to say the kind of mushrooms I got were the pre-sliced white mushrooms. And as they're cooking, I will kind of chop them up because they get soft enough that you can just kind of chop them in there. I do not waste the time chopping all these up beforehand because I'm all about efficiency. And then another thing that I do, if I'm able to, is I'll put stuff away as I go. So if I'm done with something, I put it away. That way I don't have to turn around and see a giant mess. So let this cook out, and I also kind of prep the next step while I have this dead time. So I have that ready, this ready, a little measuring cup out. I could probably preheat my oven. I also make up what I put it on. Let's do like 375. It's a lot of trial and error. It's a lot of flex as you go. And that's my cooking style. Okay, I wasn't sure if I was back on. So this is what you're looking for here. It's kind of sizzling, and you are looking to make sure it's not too dry, but you're not in a puddle of liquid. And so that'll give you feedback of whether you use too much butter or too little butter. And then you'll see.
What are you making, Mom?
Just watch and you'll find out. So I'm going to put half of this in there, so it'd be 4 ounces total is what I'm putting in, of cream cheese. And the key that I found is that you want it to melt all the way before you go on into any next step. Otherwise, if it doesn't melt all the way and you think it's going to melt later on, you're just going to have cream cheese chunks and it will be weird. And then at this step, when I'm melting this in, I will also put like a little hefty pinch of the Parmesan shredded cheese in there. But since I don't have that, I'm not going to put the mozzarella in at this step, because mozzarella gets like stringy, like that's why we like it on pizza, that like gooey gooey stringy, and that's not what I'm going for in here. So I will report back. Okay, so this is what it should look like. That's kind of the base. Now I'm going to put the heavy whipping cream in. I usually do measure it out. I do about a cup. And immediately after, I'll put in the chicken broth. Anywhere from like 1 to 2 cups is probably fine. I don't know, maybe I'll do 2 cups. So I'm going to pour that in. I'm also going to add the noodles. I'll just keep it running. A little under 2 is fine. You want to get that stirred in, get everything incorporated, and let that come back to a boil. And I'll add the noodles. Okay, my oven is preheated now, and this has come to a boil. And I want to let this do it for a few minutes so that... Okay, this is going to be the choppiest video in the world, I don't care. I'm going to let this go for a few minutes to let it thicken up. When you do your chicken broth, you might do like closer to a cup and a half.
Just help me.
Good, I'm glad. I did go ahead and add the tuna already, so I opened the cans over the sink, drained them out, and then put the cans in there. And then these noodles are just about done. I'm going to turn the burner off, go drain them, and then put them back in the pot. And then be back. Almost done. Okay. I don't know what's happening. Okay, it kind of looks really weird when I dump this right in. But add the 2 things together after your burners are off. And then I'm just going to pour in some peas until you feel like the ratio looks right. So I'll show it when I feel like my ratio looks right. Okay, so I actually think this looks good in ratio. And I take back what I said about using less of the chicken broth because it's creamy. And some of this will cook out in the oven, you have to remember, but it's creamy, but it's not like a puddle of liquid. So that's actually probably on point. 2 cups of chicken broth. I think it looks so good at this point. So it's all mixed up. I'm going to put it in my 9x13, and then I'll show you what it looks like before it goes in the oven. Okay, and then here's how it looks as it goes into the oven. Funny story, we had to go find the cheese again because we have a cheese thief. So we found the cheese. So I'm going to put it in the oven, and then you let it cook until your heart tells you it's done. And then you eat it. So hope you enjoyed this very choppy recipe tutorial.